So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining in today. Happy to see all of you here. Many of you who registered may be joining on the way or have not yet here, but for whoever is present, welcome. Can we have a quick one-word check-in? How am I feeling? Just to get a sense of one word. How am I feeling?
Relaxed and anticipating.
Welcome, Ravindra. Others?
I'm feeling curious.
Mm-hmm.
I feel excited at the moment.
I'm having mixed bag of feeling because I'm little tired also. I had meeting just an hour ago, so office and all that. So, but yeah, looking forward to know more about what is yoga of emotion or what are we planning in August. So yeah, curious about that.
Thank you. Thanks for joining. Quickly, others.
Even I'm feeling joyful and curious how this is going to unfold.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Nobha.
Yeah, hi. Sorry for joining late, but yes, I'm curious and relaxed also. So looking forward to the session.
Thank you. Glad to see you after so many years.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Yeah.
Anubha last came with me to Bhutan 2019.
Yep.
Yeah. Prem, anything? I feel very happy to see you all. Joyful.
Yes, I'm very happy and I'm grateful. I'm very much curious to join this. Yeah.
Great. So, without making you wait further, let me just start with the story. Okay. So, so I grew up not traveling too much. Okay. I grew up in Kerala, and most of my travels in the growing up years were with my family to some temples or to my grandmother's place, which was on top of a hill. And so when I moved out of Kerala and when I joined Google and moved to Hyderabad, I think one of my first craving was to travel as much as I can. So as part of the adventure club and all this kind of stuff. And then I figured that, okay, I found myself just planning out every year at the start what all comp offs to take, what all extra weekends to work so that I can go on a long trek at the end of the year or a long vacation to the mountains. And a lot of things happened. Long story short, I switched careers, moved from marketing to coaching, leadership, and yoga. I found that one of my primary motivators when I started Yogashala at that time, back in 2017, was to travel to more places. So I didn't even think of any studio or anything. I thought I'm going to create spaces for yoga on the go. So, so I started curating many retreats across India, a couple of them abroad in Turkey, Bhutan, and I found that the reason this idea of creating a journey was had a very personal connect. So there was a phase in my life between my corporate careers where I was aspiring to be a civil servant. So I was in Delhi preparing for IAS, and I gave all the 4 attempts that is at that time possible for a general category student. So each time when I did not clear, one of the ways I kind of recouped and gathered myself again to attempt was I went on a lot of travels. Mostly they were to either Rishikesh or sometimes to Kashmir or some of these places. And I used to, these were like solo trips. And for me, that has been a very personally, very healing experience. And later, I realized that this entire idea of a yatra in our Indian tradition is also a very inward looking, self exploratory, self discovery kind of a process. It's very different from a vacation or a party kind of a trip that we go with friends to any place. So when I got into the retreat space, one of the needs I felt for my friends who were in the corporate space and otherwise was the spaces for reflection was becoming lesser. And even being a yoga teacher, sometimes when we get into teaching mode, the demand for well-being is so high that itself can be very overwhelming, getting into the routine of teaching. I remember during COVID at one point, I was teaching like 108 hours one-on-ones. It was too overwhelming. And then I started cutting down. And I said, there's no different from being a corporate slave when you start getting into that grind. So I think it was also my own need to take a break from the monotony and the routine to reset. And so I started looking at, okay, where do I feel like going now? So I remember at one point, some of my students said, we all want to go to Bhutan. Can you create something there? So I went on a solo trip for 10 days to Bhutan, traveled across. Then I took a group. Anubha here was part of that journey. So similarly, so what started off as a need to explore new places, create a healthy self-reflective space for people who want to take a break from work, has evolved over time. For me, as my studies into yoga grew, my own journey into facilitation and coaching grew, I started making these journeys very thematic. Thematic of each journey being a question that I hold and I'm exploring in that moment. And I kind of figured that if I'm holding a question strongly in my mind, it creates a certain container, an energetic container of people who are holding the same questions. And then it's good fun to journey together when we have similar questions. So this time around, for the last 2 years, a lot of my personal work has been in deepening my understanding of emotional space from an Indic lens through our traditional Navarasa framework, which is there in the Indian dance tradition. And I've been working with Kudiyatam artists. Kudiyatam is a very ancient, 1,000-year-old UNESCO recognized intangible heritage of India. It's a Sanskrit theatre form in Kerala. So I've been working with one of the legends of Kudiyatam, a 78-year-old master in Kerala on Navarasas. And as I got in touch with the raw power of entering that rasatmic space, I found it such a freeing experience. We don't get to touch that often in our daily lives because most of our environments, whether it is home, office, they're all very controlled and very, clinical in some ways. A lot of ways we have denied permission to feel into life fully. And I found those spaces very big gift for myself when I could enter and feel into what these emotions feel like for me. So when I thought of the retreat this year, I thought of calling it Navarasa Immersion because it's an immersive experience into the Navarasas. And I'm calling it also Yoga of Emotion because yoga, one of the ways Krishnamacharya has defined yoga is a relationship. So what relationship? It's a relationship with myself. It's also the relationship I build with the world around me, people, things. And if I can't feel myself, my body, my emotions, I can't create a connection that is enlivening, that is rasatmic. So really deepening that connect with the body, with this emotional space and discovering the rasa in us, discovering what patterns have I denied myself, what patterns have I sustained and over-invested in. All this has a very, very big impact on the quality of how fulfilled I am. And that's something I would like to share as a gift with anyone who is going to journey with this. And I'm very happy that when I started looking at it around the same time, I saw Upasana's post on LinkedIn about a Natya Shastra collective. And then I have a common friend which I came to know of, Meenakshi, and her journeys into yoga. So I thought maybe this time around, instead of doing it all by myself, let me loop in a couple of more like-minded friends into the space, so that it adds to the richness and diversity of how we co-create this journey. Because we are only creating the container. It's all actually the people who come in that creates the joy of the retreat. So maybe on that note, I'll just invite Upasana to also come in with her story of how she has been working phenomenally with Natya Shastra in various contexts. So I would love to hear what brings you here, Upasana. Maybe if you can add to this.
The simplest answer would be like, I felt so connected with the idea that you shared, uh, connecting with the emotions through the framework of Navarasa. Uh, that actually got me very interested. I have worked separately in the space of dance and to a certain extent in theater. But marrying it to yoga and marrying it to the process work that you do, I thought it would be a very powerful thing for, of course, for me to learn so many new things and for everyone, because uh, individually as well, Navarasa, yoga, and process work are very deep processes. And if we could marry them, if we could weave them beautifully, I think it will be a really wholesome kind of an experience that we all will able to experience. Like you, to tell my story, like you, I also didn't grew up with lots of traveling. I always thank Natya Shastra that because of Natya Shastra, I get to travel whatever I get to. It's I did one retreat back 4 5 years back at Rishikesh. It was with my Sufi master. It was a Sufi retreat, which was for 5 days, and it was at the banks of Ganga. It was at the Vyas Ghat, where Maharshi Vyas wrote Vedas. It was that space, and that retreat gave me so many things that I still hold very close to my heart. Of course, the experience of whirling is very blissful, आनंद जिसको हम बोलते हैं, that is very very blissful. And it was like no speaking. You're not supposed to speak for 5 days. It was very similar to the vipassana that we do. And I realized so much power these spaces hold. The kshetra which you conduct the retreat, that itself is if it is a place like Rishikesh, it itself has a power to take you in. And if you're doing some amazing work out there with the help of some shastric frameworks, with the whole help of the frameworks which have stood the uh, you know lens of time, stood the test of time, it's very very beautiful. And talking about Navarasa, coming from the discipline of Bharatanatyam dance, uh, even before we understood what is rasa, we were exposed to rasa because of the training of Bharatanatyam. And being a dancer, I think we are normally trained, the discipline of dancing. It's been 20 years that I am in this discipline, actually more than that. To live every moment comes to us very naturally because of the training of because uh, every padam or every dance that we do, we experience it so much, and we time and again we are told that only when you experience, when you feel it, your audience is going to. When you feel 100 times, maybe your audience will feel 80 times, on depending on what the level of audience is. So you have to ensure that you feel 100 times. So it has always been that journey of experiencing emotions deeply. It has worked well at times, it has been disaster at other times. But all we learned is to experience everything at its peak when we are going through it, and uh, not getting fearful about any emotion. So I would like totally give that to my guru and the discipline of Bharatnatyam, that understanding of rasa, which I consider as very critical part of life. I think so many people nowadays miss upon that. Such a critical part of life, and this discipline gave me at such young age. That's my story. And thank you, Hari, for this beautiful opportunity. And thank you, everyone, for joining today. Sudhir ji, Ravindra ji, so happy to see you, Bharat, and others who I don't know, but I'll start knowing you guys now.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. I think as you're speaking, I was reminded of two things. One is Yogacharya, Krishnamacharya have mentioned, and I heard from my teachers that a healthy individual has the capacity to experience all the rasas as it arises from the Shantam and then move back to it. And today, when I work with leaders and even any person who's coming for coaching or other things, I think the biggest difficulty is we are finding it extremely difficult to shift contexts without carrying forward the residue of the previous context. And most of the rasa that arise, either we are suppressing them, and that energy flows into some other space. So somebody who we are angry with do not know we are angry, that anger goes somewhere else in some other space. So how do we really complete an experience? I think that's the most beautiful gift of working with Navarasa for me. And the second thing is, during the COVID time, I was having few conversations with one of my mentors. She's a yoga teacher and practitioner of yoga, and also a Bharatanatyam dancer from Kalakshetra, Jyotsna. A lot of dialogues around Navarasas. And one of the things she warned me when I started those conversations was that this is the exploration every person needs to undertake in their life, but it could be revolutionary because you will have to ask some fundamental questions of yourself, how you are living your life if you start engaging with really wanting to live the rasas that comes to you. So I think it's also a courageous choice at one level. But of course, we are in a retreat, so we'll also make it enjoyable and fun. But thanks for sharing. I think, Meenakshi, how about you? You have your own interesting stories and journeys and adventures.
Yes. So first of all, thank you so much for joining. We were discussing before you all joined, like how difficult it is to come on a Saturday evening when you have a week of, going to the office and then you want to relax. So I really appreciate you taking out your precious time to attend this webinar. So when Hari called me and presented this idea, and he said like it's going to happen in Rishikesh, I gave no second thoughts to it. I called Rishikesh my Karam Bhumi because that's where my journey started when it comes to yoga. Before that, I was also in a corporate setup. I was almost for 5 years. I was working in Mumbai, Hyderabad, and then I was feeling lost here, and it was not something like I went to yoga because I was feeling lost. Yoga just happened to me during COVID because, like, maybe most of us have started that way. Like, we were getting bored and we did not have anything to do. So, what to do? Maybe watch some YouTube videos, go see what people are doing online. And then I found yoga that way. It looked very fancy to me as a beginner. It was very fancy, like how people are able to bend their body, stretch their body, how humanly it is possible. So that's how I got into it. So my whole idea of yoga was circled around what our body can do physically, like how much I can stretch myself, how wide I can sit, how all the stretching flexibility, the basic idea we usually have about yoga. So that's how I started. But then I got more into it, and then I was also feeling lost in my job, and then I thought this is something I find interesting. Why not explore all the areas of this, like all the aspects of yoga? So that's how I took a risk. I would say that time it was a risk. Now I don't call it a risk. It was totally an investment. I left my job and then I went to Rishikesh, and I studied yoga. I learned yoga, and then it opened like a whole new world to me. And then it was not at all about how beautifully you can look while you do yoga practice. So it opens so many different ways, like how it connects to your body, your mind, not only your body but your mind. How do you control your breath? How you are able to feel your breath when you are performing asana? What is the philosophy behind yoga? So it was like a revelation for me. And then I took up teaching, and it's been almost more than a year I've been teaching. And then I also have a passion for traveling and trekking, and I keep going out in the mountains. So before yoga happened to me, trekking and traveling was very different. It was just more of like just going to a place, checking off a bucket list. But yoga even changed that perspective of my life, because travel is a huge part of my life. And then when I started going into yoga, it changed the perspective of traveling also. I started enjoying it. I started observing. I started connecting with nature, with people, the culture. And I think yoga has made it happen for me earlier. Now I always call my journey before corporate and then after corporate. I divide my lifestyle into these two. And when like Hari came up with this idea of combining yoga therapy, Navarasa. So it's also a chance for me to learn a lot, because my focus is mainly on teaching pranayam and asana. So to connect with myself also again, because sometimes, as Hari was also saying, we get so much caught up in, teaching multiple classes. And then because everybody's busy, they want to learn more of physical practice, asana practice, because they want to be healthy in their lifestyle, which is not wrong. But sometimes the other aspects, the essence of yoga gets missed out in that. So it's an opportunity for me also to learn the other aspect, to get back into why I started this journey, to get back into that. And then yeah, I think it's going to be interesting for me also. And then I think for everybody. Uh, and like we also have a misconception about, like we have many misconception about yoga. One of those would be like, it is only for people who are flexible, or it is only for people who are very young or very healthy or very thin, or maybe it's not meant for me. So maybe we have to look into that also. Like yoga is not something which is for a section of people. It is for everybody, any age. If you are any body type, whatever problem you have, if you are healthy, not healthy, it doesn't matter. It's for everybody. You come from any section, any strata. So it doesn't differentiate. Yoga doesn't differentiate between people about their health, how they look, how you behave. It's for everybody. That's the beauty of yoga. You don't have to worry about I have to be of certain weight or certain age. That's I think the essence of yoga and essence of why we do yoga in first place. So I think we'll get to learn a lot about that, why we need to have a healthy body, and why it is important to connect that healthy body to a healthy mind and a healthy breath. I read a quote somewhere very recently, like if you if you're healthy, you have like 1,000 problems. But if you're not healthy, then you have only one problem, that's sickness. So that resonated with me a lot. Like we think so many things, we worry about so many things in life, but if our body, our mind is not healthy, then we have no other worry, only this, like how to be on our feet back again, how to keep our mental health in place. That's why it's very important to, combine your physical health, your mental health, uh, how you, how you heal yourself, how you project your emotions on others. If you're not able to process the emotions internally, you might not be able to project those emotions very well on others also, as you were also mentioning earlier. So yeah, that's all. I think I'll also get to learn a lot from the facilitators and the participants, I think. And I will try my best to, provide to the retreat for whatever I have learned, and then whatever my knowledge is around yoga and pranayam.
Thanks, Meenakshi. I think that's beautiful. One thing that's coming to me was this quote, no? Yoga is for the willing, not for the flexible. So if we are willing, anybody can practice yoga. And the other thing is also, as you're speaking about, like, I think one thing that is common for all three of us is we are corporate dropouts in one way, and took to. So I also want to hold it lightly in the sense that I think for me, one personal discovery has been when we are really anchored in yoga, it is about also knowing that there is no work-life balance. There is only life. In that life, there is work also that happens. So for us right now, yoga is also part of the work as well as the life. So, and hopefully, and that is one of the, like today when I'm working with companies and organizations, that is one thing I am also trying to bring as a sense of a compassion of looking at self. It's not like a binary. We don't have to leave our life always as it is to find something more meaningful. But if we can really integrate these ideas, practices from yoga, Natya Shastra, the beauty of the Indian tradition is that you don't have to run out of our life as a householder to discover something new. Of course, there are always people who get interested in a field due to various reasons, like Meenakshi with yoga, me with yoga, process work, Upasana with Natya Shastra. But I think one of the roles I see for people like us is also to bring that sense of hope that there are practices out there, simple practices that anybody can integrate into their daily life, and then go back from a space like this retreat to re-experience the same space with much more vitality, much more hope and energy. And that is all already there, available within your beautiful body and breath. But how do we access it? How do we create conditions for it to really work its magic? I think that's the kind of space that we hope to create, co-create, as and when people decide to be part of this journey. Maybe that I will also use that as a segue to just give a peek into what you can experience in the program. So when I started doing these retreats, for me, it was also opportunity to creatively bring to a lot of things I love doing personally in my life. So yoga, some time out in nature, some walks, some silent time, some self-reflection, some treks, some tarot cards. So a lot of fun and that kind of things. So this is what you can also expect in the retreat. You will there are broadly three tracks, so to speak. One is you will have practices and opportunities to integrate learnings from yoga. Meenakshi will be teaching in Hatha tradition. I'll be bringing in some of the aspects of Krishnamacharya tradition. Then we will have a track of Natya Shastra, where we look at ideas of the rasa, understanding the inner world of our emotions through theater, applied theater. I'm an applied theater practitioner also. So through some theatric explorations and artwork, tying it back conceptually and otherwise locating it within the rasa framework with the support of Upasana. So Natya Shastra is another track. And third is now for more than a year, I've been getting trained in trauma healing with somatic experiencing as a modality. It's a beautiful field of connecting and deepening our connection with our own body to process any unresolved emotional patterns that has stayed with us after a difficult moment. So one of the things we'll be also bringing in is tying up any discoveries, insights we get about ourselves through the emotion Navarasa work with simple somatic practices. Somatic practice, soma means body. Somatic practice means relating to the body. So I'll be introducing some practices that you can integrate into your routines to tie this back. So these are broadly the three things. Apart from that, you'll have, of course, it's a beautiful ashram, Aurobindo ashram in Rishikesh, next to Rajaji National Park. So you'll have a lot of nature, beautiful Ganga is nearby. And yeah, so it's a beautiful space. And it's from August 28th. We start in the afternoon. So if you're traveling, try to plan your travel so that you can reach noon or so. and we'll have an introductory session on 28th. So it's the day after Vinayaka Chaturthi. And then 29, 30, 31st. So by Sunday afternoon, we'll be closing down. So yeah, so that's the overall journey. We'll begin every day with a yoga practice. After breakfast, we'll have an inner work experiential session. We'll have some rest time. We'll have some Natya Shastra based sessions. All of that. So I'm also just using the space because many of you have joined. If you have any questions about whatever we have shared, out of curiosity or about the logistics, feel free to ask. Or if you feel that whatever we shared about Navarasas, about our journeys, if that has touched something in you, and you feel that, you know what, this is my life context now, this is what I'm looking forward to, is that something I can figure out or experience in the retreat as a moment of insight, you're welcome to share that also. What are you looking forward to? What brought you here? So we'll just take 10 minutes for this. So anybody who feels called to speak, you can unmute, speak, ask, share. So space is open to everyone.
Yeah, I'm just sharing thoughts as they come, I'm curious. So I thought, let me understand what's happening in this space, because that's very interesting. As yoga, just to practice yoga, of course, I've been personally practicing yoga on and off, because my dad is no more, but he used to do yoga, and as a child watching him, being a doctor, he was still practicing yoga, hatha yoga, and then he went into other practices to meditative practices, and so that's one. Personally, I've been doing that. Second is in terms of Indian knowledge system and dance. Of course, after marriage, I was introduced to dance. Not that I'm a dancer. I've been a completely, within corporate, running around career. So my wife brought in that perspective in terms of what dance is, what music is. She was interested. She's a Bharatanatyam dancer. Unfortunately, health doesn't permit her, but she's still interested. So we keep discussing ideas. Now, COVID I heard COVID from every one of you. I think throughout the world, COVID has really helped everybody introspect about life, about self, and what next. So in terms of what next, fortunately for me, that was the year when I was just a year prior to my superannuation. So the transition was smooth. So what did I do? I said, how do I keep myself engaged? So that's when I went into coaching, this brain-based certification I got into, and then I do that, young executives and students entering. So I'm writing a book which is to be released on career play, something behind also, there's a poster. So if you can see that, so that's coming up. So this is where, there's a mixed feelings. I mean, let me put it that way. At one point, I thought, I'm sharing this openly, of course, I haven't really discussed much about that. Why not take Panchatantra as a tool for teaching, you could call it management principles, that's fantastic storytelling. But whatever I went into trying to understand from people, from HR people to learning and development people, who have children, young children too. They said, "Arey, आजकल कौन जानवर में interest रखता है?" They want some Marvel comics and superheroes and all as perspective. So, but that still attracts me. The principles of the Panchatantra, the whole thing about how Vishnu Sharma really, converted so-called idiots into, the great people, the king's children. So that still interests me.
Because I have worked with Panchatantra stories in another program a few years back, where we looked at the story, because it itself is a public administration text. So one of the components in the retreat, if you choose to attend, is, I mentioned after breakfast, there is an inner work segment. So a lot of the theater work is anchored in very evocative stories. And the way we work with stories is also to help you look at yourself as a through the story as a mirror. So the beauty of self-discovery aspect of the Indian knowledge tradition is that whether it is Natya Shastra, whether it is yoga, whether it is stories, when I am able to locate my inner space, like one of the key sutras in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, if I translate into English, it also talks about the quality of my attention. Where am I watching something also determines my reality. So there's a sutra called Dhyana Heyaha Tat Prityaha. That's what's not the translation I said. This means when I can bring in a meditative quality to the vritti of my mind, it transforms the energetic complex that is recreating a pattern, which creates the dukkha. A lot of our dukkhas are familiar patterns. In somatic trauma healing also, we say the nervous system chooses a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven.
True.
How does this happen? So their evocative stories, whether it is from Panchatantra or Mahabharata, I think they have that quality, provided the process in which we approach them helps us to look at it from a self-reflective lens. So thanks for sharing that, Ravindra, and all the best for your upcoming book. Thanks for
Thank you.
joining
Thank
here also. Anyone else want to add to this?
Hey, hello everyone. Namaste.
Bharat.
I first I thought I will just listen and wish Hari and Upasana and Meenakshi all the best. But because Ravinderji brought out the topic of Panchatantra, I could not resist. I had to speak something. So I was told by some I think one of the astrology video I saw on YouTube told me that this part of the year you will get some signs and you will be amazed and surprised. Like, how is this topic or this thing happening now? So Hariprasad they just brought it, and I was wondering why is Panchatantra coming up. So just recently, 2 days back, I came from Ranchi University. I had this FDP, Faculty Development Program for the faculty members of Ranchi University. I was taking on Panchatantra, sir. So like I do use a lot of Panchatantra work. So that's a separate thing. Hariprasad ji, I listened to you and very nice. I should rather appreciate that it was coming from a very deeper experience of what you went through with respect to yoga, including the pauses. So wonderful and good to hear. I cannot say that I am a yoga teacher as such, but yes, last 5 years I have been practicing. I've been helping students somewhere or the other with respect to yoga. Narration, story is something which is very close to me. I even when I'm by the way, I'm a friend of Upasana, and when she talks about Natya, I see a lot of stories involved there, not just with respect to what is being told, but also with respect to how things move. And when I say things, I mean things. So, so there are so many things to learn, and I see it will be a wonderful experience for all of you, especially for the participants, to go through this process and to look at the mind from different perspectives, from an instrument, from from a from place where rasas are created, from where you think, from where you create a story regarding the world, regarding yourself. You live that story and you try your best uh, at times to stop the story. So, yeah, all the best. That's all I want to say. And maybe Ravinderji, if you are really interested, we can catch up offline later on to talk more about Panchatantra. Best wishes. And I think the participants are going to have good fun.
Thank you, Bharat. I think when you said yoga teacher, I was like, in my yoga teacher training, my teacher said, never call yourself a yoga teacher.
Yeah.
She said,
Yes.
at best, you can describe yourself as a asana pranayama technician.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yoga is an experience. We
Yes.
part a certain tool. If the practitioner takes the tool and does it in the way it has to be done appropriately, what the experience is the yoga. So in that way, all of us are just practitioners.
Yes.
I really love the Indian word of practice, abhyasa.
Abhyas.
Hi asati iti abhyasa. That which takes me closer to myself. So the hope is that the retreat will create a container for a good abhyasa, so that we can return to our daily lives as abhyasis with a slightly connect to mind and body. So,
Yeah, I love that part when you said, that we all carry certain questions, and maybe we feel good if there is a company with respect to people having the same question in their mind at the same space and time. So that's beautiful. Yeah.
because a lot of my facilitation work is in helping people discover more and more powerful.
Yeah.
That's what help us to move into a.
So, can I take the liberty?
Yes, please.
Namaskar, namaskar. I'm a late entrant, but probably maybe my here would be a testimony that I am quite old in this. And if I tell you the truth, it must have been year 70. Many of you must not have been born in that time. The year was 1974 or so when I heard about Natya Shastra for the very, very first time in my college days. And then somehow or the other, I don't know what kind of went into me that I have to work my way into this. I joined Punjab University in Department of Philosophy, started doing my research on Natya Shastra, and till my MPhil. I mean, later on, I was just, you could say, stopped. Those days were different days. But I tell you, the kind of I was given 6 months time also to teach Indian aesthetics, and then I have shared it with the Upasana that I took one of my relatives who was a Bharatnatyam dancer, took her on my scooter. She sat in my classes, and whenever it came to rasas, she used to really act it out. In philosophy classes, a dancer explaining what rasa is. So, and lucky to have worked with the Kumar Varma in Indian theatre, is a big authority. Must have heard about Anjala Maharshi, and met quite a few people. And we had a lot of Kuryatam and Bharatanatyam as well as all the kind of classical dance performances there. But I'm so happy to learn here about these Kudyatams, Bharatnatyams from youngsters. Hariprasad, he talks about Kudyatam, also so great. And hearing from Meenakshi about yoga. Yeah, how are you, both of you? I mean, Hari also. Both of you are connecting. When I came in 74, I thought Natya Shastra is going to be another Saraswati. It will die. It must have died. It will die. That was my kind of fear at that time. That I could locate Manmohan Ghosh's book with so much trouble. And Chandigarh is a place where you get all the kind of stuff. So then slowly, gradually, now when I see Upasana rekindling that spirit of Natya Shastra and reviving, no, it's not a Saraswati, it never was a Saraswati, that was my delusion. But now I feel the kind of Jalapas and Bharats and Hariprasad and Meenakshi and Upasana sitting before me and talking with all passion about Natya Shastra. I say it has, that rekindling has happened. I mean, I for one, I must have left pursuing Natya Shastra way back in 2000. Did Mritya Katikam also. I acted Charu Datta there. And that was the first performance in Punjabi. Punjabi, hardly, that was the first effort to take a Shudrak's play in Punjabi Sanskrit theatre, and a very different kind of an experience. So since I was a guy who knew Natya Shastra, who knew all these rasas, so it was fun for me to have an experiential learning about how rasa gets evoked also. Now, normally, theoretically, as a scholar, you were teaching and understanding things from a different perspective. But when you start emoting yourself, then I got some opportunity to go to the corporate world, and I shared it with Upasana early in my earlier talks. That I had this idea of a Ratha box. I had gave those big honchos that remove your coats and remove your egos and come and perform this little theatrical kind of performance on Karuna Rasa. And then the kind of, they were crying. The kind of, I worked on that purgative, cathartic aspect. And they were so relieved. Those days, I'm talking 80s, 90s, there was not much talk about stress at that time. Now, though, stress is everything now. So those days, they said that, Sudhir, kya kar rahe ho? What have you done to us? So that is the magic of the kind of strength our Indian concepts, Indian knowledge system, and you were talking about Indian knowledge systems, Ravinder, and that's the strength. It's a full circle. You talk about psychology, you talk about yoga, you talk about theater or anything. Everything is intermixed. I mean, psychosomatic. You were talking about psychosomatic. Ras is all that. And so I try to explore this aspect of kind of bringing some cathartic effects also. And now, as told to Upasana, I'm into leadership now, leadership studies, and worked on Swami Vivekananda for the last 20 years or so. So I'm trying to explore the same very thing in leadership development programs.
Beautiful.
Because self-awareness, emotional kind of understanding of your emotions. So there, complete language of emotions, complete language of emotions. And there, because we are talking of humanistic aspects of leadership skills and leadership character strengths and their inherent strengths. So nobody is talking of emotions.
Yeah.
Swami Vivekananda talks about 3H, hand, head.
Oh, I think Sudhirji got dropped. No, but I was about to thank Sudhirji for sharing the stress factor. And I don't know how many of you may have read, there's a new book, recent book called The Anxious Generation. And it's a beautiful book of how the current systems that is getting designed, technology-wise and everything, is tuned to create anxiety because we are always exposed to the stimulus. And one of the, I mean, in my experience as a therapist and a coach, also what I find is stress buildup is much more today compared to the past because we are not having the right practices and the right space to allow the system to fully experience and process an emotion. We are shifting context, shifting spaces and the stimuli so rapidly. And so we need more spaces to slow down, to disconnect, so that we can reconnect. Like in outskirts of Hyderabad, where I am, there is a space. Apparently, I have not visited, but I've told some clients told me that there are these spaces built where people go pay an amount, they enter. It's like a dome, and then you have complete silence. So it has a water body also inside. So they just go there, spend 1 or 2 hours on the weekend to just all noises, and then come back replenished. Now imagine what systems have we created in our cities that necessitates us to go pay for the silence, and even silence has become a luxury, right? So Sudhirji, I was just before when you dropped off, I was just building on what you shared about how the current systems of stimuli and other things are creating difficulties for people to fully experience the rasas and the stress buildup. Like when I attended the Navarasa Sadhana with my master, everybody, people came from all walks of life, dancers, actors, bureaucrats. After 2 weeks, the feeling was of such lightness, such joy, like what I can really relate to what you're saying, that just a rush of prana through the system because you've permitted for the rasas to just flow.
Yeah.
So I really thank you for bringing that aspect of stress into the conversation because that's another critical aspect of what one can benefit from apart from and yoga and any Indian tradition. If you go slightly deeper than the surface, you see that fundamental unity and interconnectedness of these traditions. So please do share with anybody you feel can benefit from this experience because for us also it's an experiment as youngsters trying to weave these different fields together, creating an experience. So the more people like you who are so senior in the field, if you are vouching for its effectiveness, please do share and spread the word to whoever might benefit from this experience.
So just to wind up things, it was really, I mean, I must appreciate the kind of work all you young guys are doing. It is no more, I have the image of Saraswati in my mind. Now people are even trying to revive Saraswati. Navarasa is a Rasdhara now. Totally Rasdhara. And normally tributaries add to the flow of a river. It's on the contrary. There are so many tributaries coming out of this Rasdhara. I could see it today. It's the reverse, and I believe it's really got a lot of scope. And definitely, each of you is working very hard, but the fact is, recipients are not ready. There we have to be working very hard because their patience, their receptivity, their listening skills, they don't have that patience to go into that. And once you catch hold of them, their meditative kind of efforts, they are not putting in. So that has to be done. So thanks a lot to everybody, and to all the young brigade. And I'm so very hopeful and so very happy that you young guys are really taking the tradition ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pasna, for organizing everything, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you. We have maybe 3 minutes more. Anybody else here want to share something?
I just want to add something. Again, thank you, Basna, for sharing about this on your LinkedIn. As Sudhir sir has been sharing, I have also been a teacher, a science teacher who would take my middle schooler or elementary schooler to the music classroom to teach them concepts. Not from a science, like not from a music background, but then whenever I would read a science concept, I wanted them that beyond their exam also they should be able to, retain that. And that's how although I started as a science teacher and then ended up learning yoga and meditation and music, because I always felt that any physics concept, or as Baveja sir has also been sharing about philosophy class and then a Bharatnatyam, performing there and then understanding the bhav and the rasas. So I also like to add to Sudhir sir's concerns, sir, that if people like Hariprasad and Upasana and Meenakshi, if the avenues keep coming, sir, if the knock is happening, I'm sure the youth would eventually get ready, because they are looking for, they're looking for an exit, they're looking for an expression, they're looking for something which can, what shall I say, come and rescue them from the stress of their daily life. But if such opportunities or such events keep coming, I think we're on the right track. So very, very proud of the team to conceptualize and make it happen. I wish if I'm in India, I'm sure, Upasana, I would be joining one of your retreats in future. But thank you so much. It's amazing to see how different thoughts come together and conceptualize an experience. Very happy for all of you, and even the ones who will, abhyasis who would be actually living that experience. Very happy.
Thank you. Thank you for your wishes. And I must add that I have been working a lot with youth over the past many years. And I do agree with you that there is the high need, like both of you shared. What I have discovered in my journey is also the wrapper is important. How do we... So my own inspiration has been Swami Chinmayananda, who contemporized how Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita and all. I grew up as a Chinmaya child, so to speak. So I think one of the ways I have found resonance for a lot of our Indic knowledge systems, I've been offering these in Europe also, including Panchatantra based explorations. Very, very welcoming across cultures, across age groups. So I think more and more, when we are ready, I think the right people also join into the container. So I hope we are ready enough for the right people to be part of this journey. That's the hope. So we are just 1 minute short of the time. So just want to thank everyone who made time to be here, listening to all the sharings. And I have shared a link in the chat. You can maybe share that with anyone you feel might benefit from this experience. We'll also be emailing this recording along with the link to the email address you signed up with, so that you can, if you are available and you are keen, you're welcome to reach out to any of us, Meenakshi, Upasana or me, For more details, any questions about logistics, and please do help us amplify this message and reach the right people who are in need of this kind of a space. Thank you so much. Anything to close, Upasana, Meenakshi? Anything to add?
No, I just want to say thank you again for joining, and it's really nice to see like all of you sharing your knowledge. And then as a like youngster myself, it would be like a lot of learning will be happening for me. So I will be taking care of like maybe one aspect of whole retreat, but I think a lot of learning will happen to me when I come out of the retreat. I think I'll have a lot of other subjects to follow along to learn more about them. So I think it's going to be much more of a learning experience for myself. So thank you so much, and can't wait to see you in the retreat if at all you want to join. Thank you so much.
I would also like to thank everyone who joined, and thank you so much for the blessings of all the seniors here. Would love to see everyone there if possible. That's something that it's a selfish thing that I would get to learn from you all. So really would love to have you all there. And as Hari said, do help us to amplify this message and help us to reach to the right person. Dhanyavad. Thank you.
Thank you.